nai, 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 nai. Oh, ya nai, 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 nai. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is so nice to have you joining us here at Congregation Schaarai Zedek. I am Rabbi Michael Weiss. I am joined here on the bima by Cantor Deborah Canizaro and Maria Lauda on the keyboard. We also have Mark Levine in here making sure that everything works on this Shabbat. We here at Schaarai Zedek truly believe that when you are joining us for Shabbat, however you are, wherever you are here in the sanctuary with us. We are all coming into this Shabbat with different things that we need, both from this sacred day and from our service here together. I hope that during our service, even if you're not on the same page as everyone else on the prayer book on the screen, you can take an opportunity to catch your breath, to catch yourself just for a moment, to listen to what your needs are on this Shabbat and find ways to fulfill them. I hope that we all get what we need out of this service, all of us. So we begin our service by welcoming in the Sabbath bride as we sing Lecha Dodi.
La 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 Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Shamor v'zachor
b'dibor echad. Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemu tiferet, v'li tfilah. Yai lai lai, ya la 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 la, lecha dodi. Ya la 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 la, likrat kala. Ya la 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 la, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Boi v'shalom,
Ateret bala, Gam b'simcha, Uksohola, Toch emunei, Am segula, Boi chala, Boi chala. Ya la 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 la, Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 la, Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 la, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 la, Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 la, Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 la, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
And now we're going to welcome in Shabbat by lighting our candles. So if you have candles with you, that's great. If you don't, take a moment and run and get them. Also, grab a cup of Kiddush wine, because we will be sanctifying the Kiddush right after this, or sanctifying the wine. So we're all going to join together as we sing the blessing over the candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Now I invite you to raise your cup of Kiddush wine. Whether there's wine in there or grape juice, we're going to raise our cup as we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai b'kadosh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We now rise, if we are comfortable or able, for the Baruch, our call to worship.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai Amevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Yalalai lai lai 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 Yalalai lai lai
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Le'olam Va'ed. And you may be seated. And you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all of your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart. Shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall speak of them when you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, and when you're lying down, and when you're rising up, and when you're rising up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand.
Upon your hand.
They shall be for frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments
and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Yai
Lai lai yai la 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 yai lai 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 ya la 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 ya lai la lai lai yai lai ya la lai yai la lai lai ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norah tehilot osei felet, norah tehilot osei felet. Malchutecha ra'u fanecha, bokeh yom lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo mi'ar chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We now rise together for the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia.
Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech meimid umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
As we come to Misha Berak, we think of those in our lives in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit. We also think of those taking care of our loved ones in these challenging times for public health. If you have a name of someone that you're thinking of, feel free to say their name aloud in the room that you're in, so they can all gather together. Take all of those names said and unsaid as we sing our prayer of healing together.
Misha Berach strength, who blessed the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We now take a moment as we all join together in silence in reading the words that are upon our own heart.
This might be a new song, but I think on this Shabbat it is one that we sorely need. Olam chesed yibaneh. We will build this world from love.
Lai, 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 lai. Oh, ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, 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 lai. I will build this world from love. Ya la lai, 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 lai. And you must build this world from love. Ya la lai, 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 lai. And if we build this world from love, ya la lai, 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 then God will build this world from love. Ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, 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 lai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Ya la lai, lai, lai,
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Weiss and Cantor Canizaro, for leading such a beautiful, beautiful service. I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Orlando Goods, the Tampa City Council member representing District 5. A Tampa native, City Councilman Goods served as an officer with the Tampa Police Department for over 26 years, including time as a school resource officer, and he is the director of operations at Goods Funeral Home, which is a family-owned business. Many of you will remember the way in which our community met the city councilman, but an unfortunate mistake has turned into a truly beautiful relationship that has led to many fruitful conversations and an opportunity to learn about one another. As president of the Tampa JCCs and Federation, our congregant Joe Probasco was a leading figure in those conversations, and the friendships that were born have led to some amazing work. Joe, thank you for all the work you do for our community and for joining us tonight as well. As we observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day this Monday, it's extremely fitting to celebrate the relationship between the Jewish and the African American communities. Many people may not know this, but when Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech on August 28, 1963, he was preceded by Rabbi Joachim Prince, who had escaped Nazi Germany 26 years prior, taking his memories of the horrors of Germany as inspiration for work in the civil rights movement in this country. And when Dr. King marched from Selma to Birmingham on March 21st, 1965, standing to his left was Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who with the help of the Hebrew Union College had left Poland 6 weeks before the Nazi invasion. So we celebrate the work of Dr. King, and we celebrate a historic partnership of working together towards civil rights, even as we acknowledge the work that's left to still accomplish. So City Councilman Goods and Joe, I will turn things over to you now as I thank both of you for the gift that you are to our community.
Shabbat Shalom, and Rabbi, thank you for having Orlando and I this evening. I think, and Orlando, you might have a similar perspective, but even us having this conversation in front of our congregation this evening is a great accomplishment, and I think getting to what we hope to do with the resolution, and that is get a dialogue between not just our two communities, but the entire Tampa community on why reconciliation and really focusing as a community on these issues is just so critical to moving Tampa forward in a meaningful way.
Well, Shabbat Shalom. I enjoyed listening to the live stream, the music by the lovely voice of the young lady who was playing that instrument, and the calmness of the service, to where it gives you a good feeling. You sitting back and you're just meditating and reading some of the language that's coming across the stream. And I just want to thank you for being a friend, to reaching out to Federation, David Singer and his family, John Dingfeld, and many others who, when I made a gaffe that I did not know I was making a gaffe. And sometimes we have to be educated. Sometimes we don't know to know. And now I know, and I'm able to educate others about small slang words that we really don't think, especially in my community. And in my community, they're not, we could say we have Baptist, Holiness, Apostle, but we don't have a Jewish population in my community. So my community doesn't really know a lot, but I'm able to now, after I got my history lesson from Rabbi Simon and Rabbi Mindy, to understand that the Jewish community played a lot with the African American communities in those days, especially during civil rights. So it was a history lesson for myself, and now I can be able to talk to others in my community and bond a relationship with both communities, that we can foster good relationships throughout the city of Tampa and throughout the country.
Well, and I think one of the things, and this will be, I guess, proof for the clergy that I was paying attention to the service myself, but one of the things Rabbi Weiss said in the service, and one of the liturgies he read from, said there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. And I think that's something that our two communities have done historically. And I think moving Tampa forward, that's something that we need to continue to do. And I think tonight's an opportunity, if you're willing, to kind of share some of the challenges that your community is facing, that we are trying to at least get attention drawn to in the resolution, whether it be the economic disparity, healthcare disparity, et cetera. So if there's any thoughts you would like to share on that and how we move the city forward, I think everybody'd love to hear them.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you for helping to help craft the resolution. I think that was a key monumental moment for the city of Tampa and for other cities and counties. Received a lot of phone calls on that. People did not think that that would go through. They thought that you would have council members or the mayor wouldn't go along. But I tell you, we had no resistance. We had nothing but I'm on board. And I can tell you, I was delighted to where I didn't have to talk too much about it during the diocese. It was pretty much, here it is. We read it, and everybody was on board with a 7-0 vote. The mayor called me a couple of nights before, said she was on board. And again, that was a blessing in itself that people are changing. The mindset is changing. We still have ways to go. My community still has its challenges, especially with the COVID-19 issues, me trying to make sure that people understand about the vaccine. That's important. I had to convince my parents today, you got to take that vaccine. I have elderly parents, so I understand. You talking about the challenges of people talking about equality, but it's a lot of times it's equity. Equity is key in our community because the playing field is not all times level. Whereas that you're Jewish, but your skin color is of white. So people may not differentiate it. No, you're Jewish. So, of course, you get that privilege at times. Whereas I may not get that privilege. I look at the situation in Washington, D.C. on our Capitol. And my community is really rattled in talking about that. Because to them, they say, America has just saw the reality of what we go through. And what I hear is, had that been us, but us wouldn't have thought even to do that, to storm the Capitol. Because us would know what the consequences would probably be if we did that. So I think, people looking at everyone seeing what happened in America, I think it's waking people up. The conversations are being had, and sometimes they're uncomfortable to have, but you have to have those conversations to make you comfortable. And I had to learn that, I was a policeman. I can go anywhere, anytime, but I was a policeman. But when I became regular Orlando Goose a citizen, I was kind of fearful of going to certain places around certain people. But I had a friend of mine, and she said, no, you have to go places that make you feel comfortable now. And I was uncomfortable, but I became comfortable. So those are the words I speak to young people all the time, especially in my community. You have to have new experiences. You have to experience places that you've never gone to understand what it's about and understand people. So that's what my community, the challenges are for me, to making sure that they're able to go to different places, see different things, and get those experiences.
Well, and I share, kind of going back to your thought process on my expectations for the resolution. To say I was tickled pink in terms of the way that actually went through from a governance standpoint, I couldn't be happier. But I think in terms of why that was, and I look back on why that was, I do think we tried to deal with some pretty complicated issues and some issues that, over the history of our city have never really been formally addressed. And so for those that aren't familiar with the resolution, at least the text of it, what we were ultimately able to accomplish was to have a recognition of the shameful treatment of the African-American community in Tampa, from slavery to Jim Crow and segregation and the various challenges that have been imposed on that community, and really looking to how do we change that? How do we move this community forward in a meaningful way and really try to address some of the inequities that have been created over the last 300 to 400 years in this country. And I think what I'm hopeful for with this resolution is really just to get the conversation started. And by all means, this is the first step. This is not the end. And I think we will be judged. Orlando and Joe will be judged. This is our checklist of things we can try to go accomplish now. But there's a lot of hard work that needs to be done by our community at large. And I think that, as Orlando said, we need to get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. There are things in this dialogue that we will hear that maybe are going to cause us to look at issues in a different light. And I think we need to get comfortable, sometimes feeling that maybe our past conduct and our past history wasn't correct.
Well, Joe, I think you're right. We've got another step in this process, of course. I've had a conversation with Commissioner Myers in reference to the committee portion of it. Before Commissioner Miller left, he made sure that his office kind of lit the fire a little bit with the county attorney's office to look at the other municipalities' attorneys to see how we can have a cohesive group to talk about this committee to be able to deal with these issues. So Commissioner Miller's gone. So Commissioner Myers is there now. We have I think, scheduled meeting in a couple of weeks. I've already sent an email that way she can catch up and be abreast of what's going on. And hopefully soon we can start dealing on the second portion of the commission portion to be able to deal with some of the issues and get those conversations that are uncomfortable to make us comfortable to move forward.
And for the congregation, what was after this was passed by City Council, there was a very nice conversation and excitement with the county that really recognized what we needed to do was take this broader than Tampa and really expand it to Hillsborough County. And through Orlando's leadership and leadership by Les Miller, who's no longer on Hillsborough County, is no longer on the Hillsborough County Commission, was really involving all the municipalities in the Hillsborough County area to adopt or consider adopting a similar resolution so we can start to address these issues on a countywide level rather than just a citywide level. And I think at the spirit of the resolution, I would articulate and argue that this isn't a Tampa issue. This isn't a Hillsborough County issue. It's not a state of Florida issue. It's a United States of America issue. But local reconciliation leads to national reconciliation. And all we can do is try to make sure our backyard is tended to well and do our best to make Tampa the best place we can.
Well, like you said, Joe, I know Senator Roussan is going to try to introduce something in the legislative session. We talked about that. I haven't seen all what he's crafted, but I know he's working on that process. But again, I tell people, you drive out of the city limits, you drive into the county, you drive into Temple Terrace, you drive to Plant City. So people work in the city of Tampa, but maybe live in Plant City. So people are all over in our county. And so we need to have the same baseline that everyone's on the same page, where if someone's doing something different, someone doesn't know to know. So I just think that we just have to work together as a whole community, as a whole county. And again, this thing move forward with our legislative branch to make sure we have a robust conversation to make us comfortable about what's going on for the past 401 years and with everybody.
So I'm going to ask you a personal question to close it out. But getting this passed, were you surprised? You grew up in Tampa, you've lived in Tampa your entire life. The day that this got passed, was this finally, or I can't believe this actually got through?
How can I say this? In my heart, I knew it was going to pass because I know the guys I work with, John Dingfelder, who from day one has been fighting the issues with me from day one. Bill, Lewis, Guido, and when Ms. Miranda was the one who gave me the second to get it on the agenda. So from right there, I know my counsel. I know these guys that I work with. I have that feel, and I just knew. So I didn't really worry. I just wanted to make sure that, hey, everybody was on board. And as you can see, we had a 7-0 vote, and everybody was on board. So I'm blessed that happened.
Well, thank you so much to both of you, and thank you for mentioning City Councilman Dingfelder, who grew up in the congregation and who we are very, very proud of for all the work that he does for our city as well. I did want to mention, and City Councilman Goods, it was so wonderful to have you with us. City Councilman Goods was supposed to be our guest at Friday night services. I believe it was March 20th. Which was the first Friday night that we canceled in-person services and moved to Zoom. And I know you were dealing with a lot in the city, so we had to cancel that visit. And it took us 10 months, but I'm so glad that you are with us tonight. And our conversation will continue. From here, after services, we'll go into our Zoom Oneg Shabbat. The information for that is on the website. The city councilman and Joe will both be there, and that'll be an opportunity for you to ask any questions about the resolution, about other partnerships between our communities that are taking place right now. and anything else that you would want to ask them. I know they really are an open book. So thank you to the two of you. We'll send things back to the sanctuary, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone after services.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
I ask you to rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of those in our lives at this time who committed radical acts of kindness and love and peace, all of those people who left their mark on us. At this time, if you have the name of someone that you're thinking of, feel free to say it aloud in the room that you're in. And as a community, we remember those who have died in recent days. Irina Kaskina, Ivan Abrams, Michael Friedman, Carol Rosengray, Max Lukowitz, Arnie Simon, Andrew Harrow, Rena Jacobson, and Christina Carroll. We also remember those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary whose deaths we commemorate on the Shabbat. Benjamin Acosta, Jacob Beck, Lloyd Bray, Bettina Simon Buxbaum, Jean Carney, Greg Corson, Raul Cuervo, Fanny Demain, Carrie Deutsch-Dempsey, David Dolgan, Mario Eppel, Sally Beatrice Epstein, Ursula Erlbaum, Alfreda Edelson-Fantel, Bernard Frankel, Faye Friedland, Rose Friedman, Lois Guerin, William Gaudenier, Michael Gilman, Curtis Gimple, Seymour M. Goldsmith, Henrietta Morse Goodman, Kalman Haas, James Haysher, Bob Hartman, Gabriella Insua, Nathan Cligg, Henry Baruch Knabel, Isaac Kotler, Samuel E. Levy, Solomon J. Levy, Eleanor Lewis, Ray Lionel, Stephen Richard Lowenthal, Jenny Lubetsky, Renee Lutzker, Karen Macklin, Kurt Marks, May Mohel, Kate Smulyan Morris, Max Harry Moses, Craig Newman, Jack Orkin, Louis Osinski Sr., Vivian Ostroff, Catherine Passon, Isidore Frederick Pat, Wanda Prevel, Henrietta Rhett Putzel, Estina Rosen, Elizabeth Rosenblatt, Jacob Rosenkrantz, Terry Schneider, Florence L. Segal, Harriet Cohen Seligson, Arnold Robert Slonim, William Steinfeld, Stanley Sondheim, Rona Tannenbaum, Abe H. Weinstein, Arthur G. Weiss, Gladys L. Wolf, and Abraham Zeplowitz. We take all of those names said and unsaid into our hearts as we rise as a community for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divarach hirutech v'yamlich malchutech, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen. We are seated, and we have a few brief announcements. Just a couple of quick ones. As Rabbi Simon said, please join us for our Shabbat Oneg right after services, where Councilman Goods and Joe Probasco will continue their really interesting conversation. It'll be a wonderful thing to be witness to and to be a part of. Tomorrow morning, we have our Zoom Shabbat for the body, mind, and soul at 9 o'clock. You can join us for either Torah study or yoga with Tammy Thompson. And then we'll join together in one Zoom room for a casual Shabbat service at 10:30. Next Thursday at 11:15, we have our senior luncheon, which will be an interactive virtual tour to the Tenement Museum in New York City. I've been there in person. I'm sure it is just as good over... Yeah, it does sound cool. And you have your own snacks, which is the best part. And then next Friday night, we'll have another challah in the home, so join us for a Shabbat dinner and service with contributions from our 6th graders from the religious school. Should be very exciting. And now we will close our Shabbat service this evening with Oseh Shalom, because we can never pray hard enough for peace, not just for God to bring it to us, but for God to inspire us to bring it to ourselves.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh
Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. And because because we know that we need to have a blessing before we eat our snacks in the Zoom room. Coming up, Rabbi, why don't we lead them in the Motzi?
All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. V'te'avon.
Te'avon Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.